I really want to ask you about this. You follow this very, very closely. You have followed the complex and textured long-term relationship, not only between America and Israel in all cases, but the complex relationship of Joe Biden and Israel. He's a remarkable supporter of Israel. He's a remarkable disliker of Benjamin Netanyahu, as many people are. Where do you think we are in this moment? It seems like he's talking a tougher line than he has taken since the beginning of this war.
That's right. He is. Now, the State Department ruling today, the assessment on National Security Memorandum 20, this report that, well, Israel may have broken some international humanitarian law, but not enough to invoke the law. I think that fundamentally, I mean, it did not seem to me a very serious report, but I think it was expected. And I think what is probably more important is that President Biden has indeed, as you suggest, done two things. He has slowed the shipment of bombs to Israel as a way of sending a signal that, look, we have leverage and we will apply it. And second, he has said that if Israel does mount an all-out invasion of Rafah, then indeed the U.S. will not supply weapons that are used for bombarding civilians there. And I think, both of those are, really important steps. I have been calling on him for months to apply that kind of leverage. And I'm delighted that now that is happening. There is indeed now a storm of criticism that he's being too tough on Israel. It seems to me that it's both in our humanitarian interest and in the security interest of the U.S. and of Israel to indeed try to get that message through to Israel to show more restraint.
Well, the nuance in Blinken and Biden's message, and it's a nuance that is actually part of American policy, doesn't go over as well in the Middle East as it goes over here, is the pursuit of ultimately a two-state solution and the discussions that would be around that. So the way in which Biden can deflect the criticism that he's being too tough on Israel is if something that looks like a long-term and sustainable peace between these two people can come out of this. There's no hope you and I have that that's imminent or that's even the result of a ceasefire deal if one were to come. But it is the thing that could turn this around, that if out of all of this horribleness, some peace comes to that region.
That's right. I mean, it's not impossible, and indeed it's the Biden administration's goal that there would be a temporary ceasefire that then is extended to become a semi-permanent one. And then that is used as an occasion to do a three-way deal between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the U.S. Each gets something that it wants, and part of that is a two-state solution. And then that leads the Saudis and Emiratis to be willing to put a peacekeeping force in Gaza and provide some kind of a future. Now, I think that is possible. It would be a really big deal if it happened. I think it's also quite unlikely. And even if it were announced, I think it'd be really, very likely to fall off the rails down the road. And there's really no plan B as far as I see.
Yeah, that is the problem. And that's kind of interesting because this week in fact, when you and I were together in L.A., we looked very close. It looked like something was happening that was a deal, and it turned out that wasn't actually the case. And part of the problem, you've identified this in the past, and part of why you are actually sometimes more pessimistic than optimistic about this, because the parties involved in having to make a deal, both on the Israeli side and on the Hamas side, are not incentivized to make a deal. They kind of both know that their days are numbered the day after the hostage release and a ceasefire.
That's right. I mean, look, Hamas does not want this kind of a deal, and Hamas does see keeping those Israeli hostages as part of the safety package for Sinwar, tragically. And likewise, I think Netanyahu understands that once the war ends, he is very likely to leave office. But I must say it is more than that. And there are, we tend to focus on Netanyahu, but there are a lot of Israelis who really do want to absolutely try to eradicate Hamas, from the area. And I think that Biden feels, and I think he's right, that that is not a path to Israeli security. They tried to eradicate Hamas. They thought they were going to do it under Gaza City. They thought they were going to do it under Khan Yunis. Now they say they're going to do it in Rafah. But I think there's reason to be skeptical that there really is a military path here that's going to resolve it.